on, you beautiful humans? What's pussy poppin'? My name is Ariane Andrew.
And I'm Matt Dillon, and together we are here at Sippin the Tea with our co-host today.
Where we sip the tea and our guests
Spill that tea.
Oh,
Get it. This is Mama, little Mama.
and this is Glitty.
And guys, I am so excited today. We have so much more than just the Real Housewives of Dallas. An entrepreneur, a stepmother, a philanthropist. Let's give it up, guys. You ready to give it up? Miss Deandra Simmons.
Thank you.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi. So glad to be here. Hi,
Hey, girl,
Dawn.
how are you?
I was watching you on the couch last night. Now you're on the couch.
I'm on the couch. Well, just wait. Whatever comes out of your mouth is your responsibility, honey. That's all I'm saying.
I like that.
Star of the show, girl.
The
Star.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
appreciate
I
that.
think you and your mother, I think what you bring to the show, it's a job. That's how I've always looked at things.
Right. And, I always tell people it's an ensemble cast and everybody has their role. So my role has, my mother's fabulous, obviously, and she's the queen of all queens. She's the real queen bee. Okay, let's be honest here. We're talking about this queen fight. It's my mom. Mama D is the queen bee. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down. And she's always been very tough and boss bitch. And so that's kind of, I'm moving into that, but I've always been a businesswoman, entrepreneur, a philanthropist, all those things. But my mother was a great example. I mean, it's a hard act to follow. It still is, I'll tell you.
But I'm like, what great training for you. What's something to look up to and benchmark? I'm like, that's fabulous.
And everyone on the show, like I said, has their own role. Not all of us can be the same person. Stephanie, she's so sweet and wonderful.
We love
I love Stephanie, and she's always going to be the peacemaker and is going to be the person who tries to put everything together because she doesn't like drama and acrimony. And she, yeah. So I mean, Andy does. But everybody has their role, and I love that about the show, and I love the ensemble cast that we have because they're all so unique and different, and everybody brings something different to the show. Like this year, Brady and I had a great relationship. She was fun. I didn't know that last year, and I developed a new friendship, and she is really kind of like the liberated Deandra. I'm gonna be 50 soon, and she's my other personality. I can have fun and play butt darts. I mean, who cares?
Doesn't it make it exciting for you to come into, this is the second season, to kind of have that evolution of, you know what you're going in there for. You have your ideas, you have what you want to get out of it. But the reality of the reality is that sometimes you're surprised because you and Brandy, that came, if you watch season 2, it wasn't really how I expected things to turn out. And obviously, your old mate.
I told Andy one time, I said, you just keep throwing me audibles. And he's like, what? I go, do you watch football, Andy? Just forget it.
If you hadn't said edibles, then he might have been like...
I said audible, not edible.
So I have to ask, what made you decide to want to do reality TV? Because that's opened your whole life.
She's been there before.
I've done that. And
I know you have, so you know how hard it is.
Opened up your whole life, and it's like, they switch stuff, there is...
And I've been there in the Housewives too, so if I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off too, because it's not... Guys, it's not what you think it is.
It's not easy.
I will tell you something about that. So a lot of people say, they edited it differently. I still feel like every time I see the show and look at myself, I know that's what I said and that's what I felt in the moment. I've never gotten screwed up with, oh, I didn't do that. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did do it. And, let's own it and move on, put our big girl panties on.
Yeah.
So I really haven't, and everybody that meets me says, you're exactly the way you are on the show, which is true. My husband, who's, a military veteran, he's down to earth, grounded. He said,
he's hot.
Yeah, if we're going to do this, he's hot.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That little game Andy likes to play, KMF?
We're going to play that later.
So wait, he did the F on my husband, okay? I know he is taken.
Matt.
Oh my God, you guys are too funny.
Rated R.
Okay, you got me all off track and flustered now. I'm having a hot flash.
So getting back,
going back to the show, yeah.
Why reality TV?
I'll tell you, I did a reality show in 2004, 2005, and it was called Sheer Dallas, and it was my wedding, my last wedding, which was this huge extravaganza in Dallas. My mother officiated. It was fabulous. You have to.
I gotta look
actually, my assistant who's here has the VHS tape in her handbag because she has to transfer it to DVR. So she's like carrying this around for weeks and weeks. So I did that. I knew a little bit about it after that. Now, when they did Housewives, they came to me before the other girls. They came to me at the very beginning. And for me, with my business and for the different charitable things I was doing, I was chairing luncheons and balls. And it's not fair to throw that on somebody without telling them ahead of time, because I don't care what anybody says. Society people do not like reality TV. They just don't like it.
That's the scary
And
thing.
at least Dallas society people don't. Now, I've heard that if you have a franchise for several years, then they kind of all of a sudden turn it around and then they like you years later, more into the franchise. But we're a baby franchise. If we go another season, it'll be season 4. Mm-hmm. So we're still relatively new in this, housewife franchise group.
I feel like
so
it's coming around.
I mean, I think it's getting better.
It's building. It seems more authentic. I feel like you bring that. I feel like everybody you said has a role to play. Mm-hmm. Some more frightening than others. Yeah. I must agree. We can discuss
but it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work without everybody. It wouldn't work without the crazy. It wouldn't work without the fun. Yeah. It wouldn't work without, the kind of Cameron plays this kind of, blonde, kind of interesting kind of character. She's a character person. So I look at her as like she has a character in herself, and that's just who she is, and that makes interesting TV. I mean, because nobody lives like that in general. Most people don't live the life that she lives in the fairy tale, castle with the husband that has the pink dog. People just don't do that. So people are looking at like it's kind of an oddity. But it makes good TV, and she contributes equally, just like everyone else. We may not get along all the time, but that's okay.
Well, if you're getting along, I don't know whether I'd want to watch exactly. What do they say? The petri dish. Throw it in and just see what happens and explode. Mm-hmm.
People like controversy.
They do. My thing is, I want to know, because you just brought it up that you had a show before this. You're actually a part of it, and I've been to Dallas quite a bit, and I know that, and I lived in New York for 10 years. So there's society, and there's that. I feel like Dallas is like an upper echelon of a different society, because it's almost a throwback to what society, the inception of society. How has that evolution been for you now? Like, I know it was somewhat of a storyline.
Yeah, growing up and if you saw the preview for next week, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I grew up in a family where, of course, I was a debutante. That was expected of me. Then I went on to be in the junior league, which is the next step. Then I chaired the junior league ball. Then I was in another group that's for American Cancer Society. I was underwriting chair. It's just you kind of move along, and what's expected of you is to join these different women's groups, which you have to be voted into, by the way. And you could get blackballed. And Cameron and I both have been in those kind of situations. Cameron, I was ball chair at junior league. Cameron was on my team years ago in like 2010. She was on my team, like a younger junior leaguer, and she was, one of my 225 women that worked under me as I was a ball chair. So, and then we worked together on another organization in Dallas as well. But that's kind of the path, the trajectory. I always say I was raised to be a socialite. My mother always says you need to go work and spend more time on your business. I'm like, but you raised me this way. You can't have it both ways, because I'm either going to go to the luncheons and chair the balls and do the kind of things that you want me to do to carry on the Simmons name, or I'm going to run a business. It's too much to have it both ways.
Can you merge them together? Because it's like the modern age is like...
What I've done is I've basically
my product, girls.
I've kind of taken it down to where I'm only focusing on 2 things. I'm still on the board of UNICEF. I'm going to stay on there for, I think, have another year on the board. I'm still the international ambassador for the Nazarene Fund and Mercury One.
That interests me.
Yes, and it's amazing.
I want to get into that, because that, to me, I was having a look before you were coming in, and I was like, that's kind of really epic, and it's so kind of a little.
It's very different. It's very different than what.
And you did that with your husband, correct?
Yes. So last year, and this is when you asked me why would I be a housewife. So number one, I have a business, and it's a great way to brand your business. And I look at D'Andre Simmons as a whole brand, and I want to have more products and more things. I cook. I do. In fact, I'm coming out with a cookbook next year. There's so many parts of me that I want to tell the world about, because I enjoy sharing, and I also enjoy having been a victim of domestic violence. I get to share my story, and women don't think that would have happened to me. But when I talk about it, they feel empowered to either leave the situation or talk about it and say, make decisions in their life that sometimes and many times save their life. But because I'm sharing my story now with Mercury One and the Nazarene Fund, we travel to, for instance, last year we went to Iraq, and I met with women that had been captured by ISIS. Oh, wow. We rescued them. Mercury One rescued them. And then I met them right after they were rescued. So one of my cases has been bought and sold over 15 times. She was raped repeatedly by many men throughout a period of 3 years. She tried to kill herself by jumping off a 3-story building and lived and broke her back, her legs, her feet, was still cooking and cleaning for 25 ISIS fighters a day. And she was tortured. She was raped. She had so many physical problems. The first thing she said to me is, I need to see a female doctor. And I'm like, I bet you do, And so we got her to a doctor. We had to transfer her to Australia very, very soon, because she was going to die from the diseases that she had contracted from being passed around from man to man. Oh, even married imams and things like that. So what they underwent in this captivity, I work with these women, I tell their stories, I kind of get them to talk because they don't want to talk to a man. So I say, this is what happened to me. It's not anything, Case J, what happened to you, but this is my story. And then we kind of start crying. We talk about our experience, and then they open up, and then they have hope, and then they have encouragement, and then they're willing to give life another try. At the time I talk to them, they don't want to live anymore. And obviously, you can see why they don't want to live anymore. But now this woman is Australia. She was a professor when she was captured. She's now in Australia. She's learned English. She has a new life. She's starting over again. These are the stories of hope. So I work with my husband. I go to Iraq, to Lebanon, to the Middle East, and talk to these families as well, because a lot of the children have seen this horrible violence, and that's all they've seen. So they're going to perpetuate it to the next generation, If we don't stop it right now, it's never going to stop.
Yeah, domino effect.
Yeah, so that's what we do. And then I get to go in February back to Australia to talk about the stories of hope, and we're doing a documentary.
Well, we'll talk
so
about
I'm working
that.
on that. So I'm excited about that.
I just have to...
They're in Melbourne, so we're going to Melbourne.
That really is...
That's what gives me.
This is no.
That's what gives me peace and makes me feel okay with this whole housewife situation, because a lot of it is very stressful and very hurtful when you hear people say things about you that are not true, and yeah, it hurts your feelings. And when you try to just go on and be the exact person you are every day of your life and be honest and show up and do the job, but then you have to deal with people that don't.
The outside factors. And listen, ultimately, you know yourself.
I know me, my husband, I can put my head on the pillow at night and sleep just fine, because I have never done anything that is against my will or who I am inside. And that's the main thing. If you're going to be on a show like that, follow your heart and go with your gut and don't ever go against what you feel is the right thing to do.
Just to do it.
Just do what you think is right.
I think that's good advice in life, though.
Yeah.
I feel like
anytime I've gone against my gut, I've made a mistake. So now I always just do what is true to me and true to my core. And I
say it on that lens, because that's a good one. Compose.
Yes, I compose. Okay. Every time I've gone against my gut or what I've felt inside was the right thing to do, I've always made a mistake. So I've learned that everything I do, if I feel right in my core about it, it's the right decision. No matter what other people tell you, don't be convinced by other people. Be convinced by yourself and your convictions.
Girl,
this is totally unexpected.
It's not when we were going to talk tea.
Well, we still going to talk tea, but I need a minute to get my tea together, because that affected me. Just the way.
So that's it. And you know, Ariana, that's the silver lining of these shows.
Exactly.
That's what, if you can make it and turn it around into something positive, that's why you do it.
And that's what you're doing. But not only that, like you're already doing what people wish they could do. You know, and that's what they go on these shows to do, is to build a brand and to be a philanthropist. And some people just say, oh, I'm a philanthropist, but I can tell like how you're talking.
That ain't true.
You're not just doing it for show. You're doing it because it's something that you truly care about. And I think it is good that you're able to come here and have a platform to be able to discuss things. That way people can see a different side. You know what I mean?
Well, and also with philanthropy, and there's been a little discussion about this on our show. I never show up to a red carpet without writing a check if it's for a charity. You don't go and get a photo op and leave. That's not supporting a charity. Supporting a charity is putting your money back behind your mouth.
Correct.
Because just to get your own self a photo op and say, I support the charity, that's not supporting the charity. That's supporting yourself. That's propping yourself up. And there's a difference with that. People know I write checks. When I go, I write a check. When I'm a guest, if I'm sitting at your table, I write a check.
Girl,
we talk about that all the time, because the world that we run in, it's complimentary to yourself. Here in LA, people turn up just for a photo, and I was like, well, I'd rather not go.
That really makes me upset. Sorry,
well,
it does.
Or I have friends who would be like, oh, I need to talk to my team about the charity. I'm like, talk to your team.
I was like, nobody needs to talk to a team. You either feel it in your gut or you just don't feel it at all.
And if you don't have the money to pay for it, that's fine, but then don't go and get a photo on the red carpet, because that's taking advantage of the charity.
Yeah. Totally.
And that's not okay with me. So.
I completely agree. All right, I'm going to breathe it out.
Okay.
We're going to breathe it out. We're going to come back in. I want to talk about Mama. I want to talk about the business. I want to talk about how she basically handed you the keys over, but she's still keeping her desk in the office, right?
Yeah, and it's not to the file cabinet, believe it or not. It's really to the front door.
She was like, take the key to the front door.
She's like, no. So tell us about the inside. Like, there's so many things that you're evolving within. I mean, your mother pioneered something.
She did. She was a woman before her time. She was one of the first women, if not the first woman, to start a nutrition company 23 years ago. And when she started the company, a gentleman from the lab called her and he said, "You'll never make it. Women don't make it in this business." And 5 years later, he called her on that very day that she started the company. He said, "Congratulations, I was wrong. You made it, and you're going to continue to make it."
I must get that man.
Yes, I know.
You know, it's hard to follow that pride.
It is.
And she started with one product. It was called Green Miracle because she had been a cancer survivor and she felt that green food saved her life. Nobody was making green products back then. There was one product called barley grass. It was from Japan. It was full of sugar. So we made the first comprehensive green food product, and it had fruits and vegetables and mushrooms and things to build your immune system, astragalus, milk thistle, all these things. Plus it had all your greens. So everything you need to get your daily balance of fruits and vegetables. If you don't want to take fruits and vegetables, then take Green Miracle. And that's still our flagship product, but I did change it. I mean, that was hard. I changed it. I changed the flagship this year because now we have a lot of competition. Back then, there was no competition. So I made it taste good. Because it tasted like grass before.
That's good.
Yeah, so it has a vanilla taste and it's fabulous. It tastes very good.
That's a good evolution.
And then,
that's a good.
Yeah, 22 years ago, so 23 years ago, we were doing that. And then about 21 years ago, I developed skincare for her. Now, we were on HSN with that line. It was under D. Simmons, my mother, the queen's name.
That is a queen's name, though.
Yeah, D.
That's
Simmons. So I developed that for her, and it was an aloe vera based natural skincare line because we would be on these Christian television programs, which we've been on for years and years. And people would say, "That's great about the nutrition. What are you doing on your skin? You guys look pretty good." And most of it was because we had so many antioxidants in our body because we were taking all the green foods and we were taking care of ourselves. But I went to the lab and I said, "Let's start making natural skincare." The skin is the largest body organ. And that's what I did with Hard Naked Morning and with her line originally. This is a 10-year-old company and we are revamping all the time. Ariana, we've got new products. I developed a new moisturizer, a nighttime moisturizer this year. And last year we did the L22, which was our 6 different actives. It's a wonderful anti-aging powerhouse. We have some new little things for stocking stuffers right now for the holidays, a little lip mask and eye mask. And
I'm planning on having a lot of hard nights.
Yeah, so I mean,
such a good name because it's like.
I was about to say, were you having a rough night the night you just? Did that come to you?
I'll tell you a little secret. I'll spill some tea. Okay, so I used to work. You're going to sip. Okay, sip your tea. So I used to work in Los Angeles, and I was in the entertainment business. And I was in the music business. I worked for NARAS, which is the Grammy Awards. So I worked for the CEO. And, of course, I dated lots of rockers. That was my thing. I like the rockers, okay? So my girlfriend, when I had all these different, rocker boyfriends when I was living here, she goes, "Oh, my God, we have to name this Hard Naked Morning because, girl, you were the queen of the hard nights." Let me tell you something.
I love that.
So that was my college roommate came up with that. And I should look a lot older than I do because I'm almost 50 and I've never had a facelift because the hard nights that I had when I lived in Los Angeles, I mean, a lot of people could not compete with me. And then I'd go right to work the next day and go back again that night and hang out again that night.
So she was ready. She was driven. I love that.
So that's how Hard Naked Morning. And I've always been kind of a party girl, honestly. So, I mean, my husband said when we had the whole butt dart thing on the show, he thought it was so funny. He said, "Because that's the girl I married. You're the fun party girl that, plays beer pong and nobody knows that about you."
I was like, to be honest. The ones making a big deal about that are like shit faced on the floor. That's a joke.
It's so funny.
I mean, fun. You're not killing anybody. So like, keep it.
Why be such a fussy pants? I mean, you have to have the fun. Yeah, exactly.
Have fun. We only get one life.
Yes.
Live it strong. But
I'll tell you what's funny. That not one socialite in Dallas said anything. They thought it was hilarious. All of them thought it was hilarious. So all the socialites that were going to judge me thought it was the funniest thing in the world. They loved it.
Wait, so
speaking of, we're going to segue to killing people. What?
Okay. Oh, wait, I'm going to sip some tea right now.
We're going to play a little game?
Play a little game, girl. We're going to a little game. So, out of the Housewives
of Dallas, because, honey, we're going to keep it 100.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, okay.
Who would you kill? Who would you marry? And who would you...
Okay, so obviously I've had a hard season with one cast member, so I'm sorry, Leanne. You're gone.
Bye, girl.
You're gone, Leanne. Bye, girl. Bye.
Girl,
the real queen is reigning.
Bye, Felicia. And then let's see, who would I, have relations with? Of course, my husband. He's not a housewife, but he's hot.
He's the hottest house husband. I think across all genres.
Who would I marry? Stephanie, because she'd be the most loyal, of course.
Say, I won't fight you for her. She is the nicest.
And she'd be a good mother in case I ever wanted kids. You know, she'd be a great mom. She is a great mother.
She'd be a great mom when you have to go out and party.
Yes, I'm partying.
She'd be like, got the kids, man.
Yeah, she is a great mom already, but if we had children, I had to marry her, she'd be a great mom to our kids.
You are a stepmom now.
I am a stepmom, yeah.
Just before we wrap up, how is that? Because that was such a cute dynamic that you had.
Cute? I don't know. Not a lot of people thought it was cute.
I did think it was cute because
this
it
year,
was real.
Did you see my stepson this year, the younger one? He was on a few times. We actually did a bunch of scenes with him that were not in the show. But he is fun. He's got a great sense of humor. We get along wonderfully. Now, Keaton, the older one, we do get along. We have differences of opinion about where he should be in his life. But it's none of my business. I'm going to let Jeremy, advise him if he asks for the advice. But
I thought those scenes were really accurate because I grew up in a family where my dad had a wife, and there was a whole dichotomy, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And I thought the reason I thought it was cute because I watched it and I was like, oh my God, that's like that was me. I get it. The attitude. I thought that was not cute in the sense it was harmonious, but cute in the sense that it was you're delivering something that's real the storyline term, it's not storylines. These are like ripped from the pages of this is what's happening in the world, and you're like just living your truth.
Well, think about it. How do you think I grew up? Tough love. My mother wasn't going to give me a pass on anything. So that's the only way I know how to kind of
disagree with that.
Dish it out is the way I was raised. Right. I'm trying to learn and be more soft. I mean, my husband's a nice, affectionate one in our marriage and in our family. I'm kind of
You're the boss.
I'm the boss. And he knows, he'll tell you I'm the boss.
You're the other queen bee, okay?
I was like, honey, wait. The other queen bee? Honey, there's several queens on my list table right now.
So,
wrap it up, girl.
Yes, so go ahead and look right over here, girl, and tell everyone where they can follow you at and get your products and the whole nine.
So my products are at DeandraSimmons.com, and you can see the Ultimate Living line, the Hard Night Good Morning line, and also all things Real Housewives of Dallas. And you can follow me on social media at Deandra Simmons on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Well, I tip my hat to you, girl.
Yes, because you're
gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you for today.
This was my favorite.
I put Mama to sleep, though.
Wake up. There we go. Say, wait, she's in her.
Did I put you to sleep? Did I? I love it. I love the jeans, the denim. I love it.
Deandra's like, guys, that's not Texas. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ariana.
Follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew, and follow this little nugget at Goody Glit.
I'm Matt Dillon. Until next time, thank you for joining us on Sippin' the Tea on Focus TV. Bye.
Yeah, you got the wrong number. Click.